Sky, but the night is calling, the night's calling me. I don't wanna fight, and the city's drifting away.
Welcome everyone, I am One True Brick, coming at you with another LEGO Exo-Force review. Today we will be looking at set number 8106, the Aero booster. This set was released in 2007, contained 312 pieces, and retailed for around $30. Now, other than most of the other sets of this particular year, with the exception of the Golden Guardian, which was a special edition set, most of the other sets tend to be around the same price. However, this one retails for around $50 on Bricklink and eBay, as you will find. So, this is the best Exo-Force set ever. Thanks for watching. Next week I will be looking at the fight for the Golden Tower. Thanks! Bye! Just kidding. However, this set is absolutely fantastic, and likely my number one out of the entire series. If I had to recommend just one set for anyone to buy throughout Exo-Force's entire lineup, 2006, 2007, or 2008, this would likely be my recommendation. It has so many nice building techniques to it. It has a nice color scheme and just very nice use of the mecha theme to it. It is very Gundam inspired, as I've mentioned before. It's very clear that this has Japanese mecha inspiration, of which Gundam is probably the most recognizable. But this one in particular takes it to a whole nother level with having the kind of small mech robot with a large booster pack attached to it, which just makes it all that more menacing. Not to mention the color scheme is very reminiscent of most Gundam with the white, blue, and red, and even little hints of yellow, as most Gundam sets do have. That being said, it does have a few cons, but I'm going to quick go over a few of the other pros before we get into that. The most notable thing that I really appreciate about this set is the way that they reused the Cyclone Defender design. So, as you can see, the front portion of the battle machine right here is very reminiscent of the Cyclone Defender, except in blue. This particular portion right here reuses the design while giving it a new spin. It still has the same feet and similar leg design. However, it has an axle going through the back of the battle machine, attaching it to this large booster pack. And there's just something exciting about seeing such a tiny battle machine have this giant rocket pack attached to it. And of course, I'm sure within the storyline, Hayato was very excited when he first got to see it as well. Now, one of the major functions of this set, or I guess play features of this set, is a similar design to the Sonic Phantom and Sonic Raven models, in that you can pick it up and hold it by this handle right here. That is the intended purpose for it. It allows you to kind of whoosh it around a room, flying it around as it is intended to be in the story. There are a couple of cons that come out of this, though, and I do wish LEGO had tried a little bit better while designing this, because these two cons honestly would have made this go from being one of my number one recommendation for an Exo-Force set to potentially my number one recommendation for any LEGO set ever. And that is that, as you can see, I have to place it on this little cup here in order to have it stay up. And that is because the legs do not have the capability to hold up the entire weight of the battle machine. The back portion right here, this handle, is just a little bit too short to allow it to comfortably stand up, meaning that really the only way to display it is by adding something to it, hanging it, putting some strings through, which is absolutely doable. You can definitely put some strings around these ball joints right here and have it be able to be displayed on a ceiling. However, I would say barring some more extreme collectors, most people want to be able to just set their model somewhere and not have to go to a ton of work displaying it. It's nice to have the ability to do this. However, because this is just a little bit too short, it just doesn't work. And I really think LEGO could have worked around that. The other major issue revolves around one of the major functions of the set, and that is this missile launcher up top. Now, because of the nature of this long axle that sticks through, I'm guessing you can probably figure out what it does, but in case you don't, I can quick show you here. It is a trigger that allows you to fire it. However, because this is a size 6 rod that extends the length of this trigger, it means that it is a lot more prone to being fired by accident. It's a lot more trigger happy. I don't know. It's a fragile trigger. It only requires a little bit of force to fully pull it because of the extra length given to it. Unfortunately, as I was setting up for this review, in fact, as I was posing the arms, I accidentally shot myself in the chest, and well, this isn't exactly getting shot with like a paintball gun or something. It does hurt at close range, and unfortunately I have been prone to accidentally firing this one in particular several times, and I wish that, I don't know, the trigger had been built a little bit differently, but it is definitely the not as bad issue between the two. So, if you haven't figured it out already, there's one last major function of this set, and that is the dual functionality of this model. So, as I mentioned, this front portion right here is similar to the Cyclone Defender and can, in fact, be fully detached. And this was so much fun as a kid, and I can't even begin to recommend this particular design enough. I really love how, whoops, I guess I don't know my own strength. So in story, Rio completely remodeled the Cyclone Defender in this design, but added the booster pack because Hayato particularly liked flying. But there were some other features given to it. There was a battle done with the Combat Crawler X2, in which Hayato was flying above, and because of the nature of the density of the trees, he had to detach from the pack. And he literally pressed a button, he detached, he fell to the ground, and was able to kind of come in as a paratrooper almost on the unsuspecting robots. The other nice thing about this is that the booster pack can actually be remote controlled separately, so it can fly around and provide air support while this battle machine right here fights on the ground. And I think that's super cool concept. Once again, very reminiscent of the mecha genre of having a separate booster pack, and I really like how LEGO went all in with this. In addition to that, this battle machine has the same articulation points as the Cyclone Defender, being able to move the shoulders, the hips, the ankles, and then of course, as you can see, it has some of these classic robot arm finger designs. The nice thing about this is that it leaves the hands free, kind of. It almost looks like a character holding two joysticks, like controlling the pneumatics of the engines, and I really like that design. However, I do wish that they had given a separate weapon to this battle machine, and in fact, in a sense, they did. I'm not the hugest fan of the way that this is done, and I'm not even sure if it was fully intended to be done that way, or if they just kind of threw in one extra piece to make it possible, but goodness gracious. Let's get you back on there. So this hand can open up right here, if the fingers will cooperate with me. This hand can open up right here. This piece pops out. You can either fully detach it, or you can hook it behind, kind of like that. And then this weapon right here, that's part of the booster pack, can come off. You pull this yellow piece that's attached to this megaphone right here off, attach it to the gun and put it in the hand right there. Unfortunately, I'm not the hugest fan of how it ends up looking. It looks very janky. It doesn't really look like they intended for it to be designed that way. Not to mention it leaves the booster pack looking kind of funky. I don't really think it would have been that crazy to ask for LEGO to add a tiny little handgun similar to how the Cyclone Defender has it, but there are also these right here, these little guns up here that I think can kind of make up for that. So take that as you will. That, gonna reattach that. So of course, also, I would be remiss to not point out the fact that the booster pack does have some articulation. I personally prefer setting it up in one particular way, with these slightly tilted up and these wings in this position. However, these outside boosters do have the ability to rotate in just about any direction because of the nature of the ball joint. These wings right here can also bend like this. This center wing can bend up and down, and these have a little bit of articulation. However, they're kind of blocked by the booster jets. So when you get the set, you can choose to do with the boosters whatever you like. The last major thing that I would like to take a look at is the minifigure. And this minifigure made me so happy. I did show it off during my review of the Golden Guardian. However, I'll show it once again. Thankfully, this year, Hayato got a lot more prominence within the story, and thus he got his own torso print. So the hair, face, same, but he gets his own torso print that isn't the same as Hikaru's like last year. Otherwise, if you'd like to take a closer look at it, you can check out my Golden Guardian review. Personally, between the two sets, especially considering the Golden Guardian is generally a little bit more expensive than this set, I definitely recommend this set over it if it wasn't completely obvious already. Lastly, one other thing that I like to do when taking a look at Exo-Force sets is to consider its story significance. And this may somewhat factor into my appreciation for this set, though I really did like this set before the story even came out for it. Often they would release the sets a few weeks or even months before they were included in the comics or books. Its comic prevalence is pretty small. I think it's in one, maybe two comics. It has a rather large battle between it and the Combat Crawler X2. This was kind of towards the end of the storyline when Exo-Force, I assume, had already been canceled at this point. LEGO usually plans these things at least a few months in advance, so with the final wave having been created and being released momentarily, I did notice a significant decrease in the quality of the comics and kind of a rushing of the storyline. Instead of the long, drawn-out battles that usually would have like 3 to 6 comics following it, it'd be down to 1, maybe 2. However, this guy got one major part in a book called Ghost of the Past, and if you would like to listen to it, I am actually doing an audiobook version on my other channel, and it will be linked at the end of this video. And this particular storyline really fleshed out Hayato's character and this battle machine's capabilities. And I won't go too much into it because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. However, when this battle machine is first introduced to Hayato, he uses it to go underground, oddly enough, to search for a code in an ancient Golden City computer lab. And this computer lab contains tons of strange, mysterious secrets. And I'm just going to leave that much to your imagination to figure out until you hear the story. However, suffice to say, this is probably one of my... It is definitely my favorite Exo-Force book, and if I may say so, also one of Greg Farshity's best pieces of writing. So make sure to go check that out when this review is over. Speaking of which, I believe that is the last I have to say. So, tune in next week when I take a look at the Sentai Golden Tower set, which is actually called Fight for the Golden Tower, depending on where you look. It has a few different names, but the official one that I'm looking at is called Fight for the Golden Tower, and that is yet again another fantastic large set. So, I will see you guys next week. Bye! You also get the ability to move these. There are some gears right here, and this makes use of a gearbox functionality.